Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today has been an extremely exciting day for crypto, but most importantly, the next couple of days you guys need to be prepared for. It's by far one of the most crucial weeks for the crypto market, and that's mostly, like we all know, because of, well, the major economic calendar and things that are happening of that nature. So in this video, obviously, we have to cover everything that's going to happen in the near future here, while also giving you guys some insights as to what just happened. I mean, the crypto market is down a little bit. People often say, we're in a bear market, until the all-time high is breached again, or once we've basically gone up like 70, 85 or something like that percent. And people say we're in a bull market or so until we just go down ridiculously much, like 80% as well, where you just can't deny things anymore. Or I'd say, let's say 60% or so. I've already covered it for you guys before, however, that it's pretty hard to state when you're in a bull run because, well, if we look all the way back, this March 2020 is, hypothetically speaking, when the bull run started, when Bitcoin was at $3,000. But he only knew that when Bitcoin basically passed the previous levels. Because even if you ask people here at roughly $12,000, people would still say, no, this is a rally, but it's going to go down to 2,000. Bitcoin is going to crash and go to zero or something along those lines. It was only until it took out some of the previous tops or got close to it that people really start to believe in this specific move. And I think we can extrapolate to what we're seeing right now, where indeed we've come a pretty long way from these lower Bitcoin prices already. We're up roughly 53%. And so for most people, this seems like, yep, we've hit our bottom like we saw there. We're going to go and keep going on, albeit with a couple of stops down the road. I personally said I think we're going to hit the 200 weekly moving average first, which we got very close to. I mean, we're still roughly 3% off or so. As you can see, the price here, the highest point was around $24,000. And basically the 200 weekly moving average is at $24.5-ish thousand. So again, we were still $500 off, but that was my expectation. We were all the way below $21,000 still. And as I said before, whenever you're buying in an area that's below the 200 weekly moving average, like this whole area here, I think you're still getting yourself a very good deal, but I digress. What I think for right now is, again, that we have actually already hit the major dip of this bear market. Basically, we've already gone down roughly like 70 or so percent, and we're going to start hovering back up from here. That does not mean that we will not see another couple of dips that are just going to take the price down lower. I'm just trying to say that I don't think we're going to actually take out a new lower bottom, and that's actually the most crucial point of it all. Anyway, in terms of what's been happening, yeah, it's been pretty peculiar to watch Bitcoin then move down roughly 5% or so. I think Ethereum was down 5%. But that's mostly because people just get really scared. When I'm always thinking like, who cares? I mean, this is all within the journey of going towards the top. You need to sometimes come back down. And so for me, these are just very easy buying opportunities, but people don't see them that way all the time. No, people see this as, yeah, you see, this is all a bull trap. We are going to go fall back down. We are going to go to zero now. And this was a confirmation for that. It's always so interesting to me. It's always so interesting. Before we move on, though, let me tell you guys two things. One, if you check my channel right now, you'll notice that I've been preparing more and more tutorials, and that's because when I now look back at myself from the previous bull market, one of the things that I wish was that I knew more about how to properly invest in crypto. And again, I will always say I'm not your financial advisor. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt and do your own research. What I would, however, also always state is that I've been in this space for a while, and I do know quite a lot about how these cycles will move probably yet again. And so I think if I make some of these tutorial videos or preparation videos, now that crypto prices are still low, maybe, just maybe, some people will reap the benefits from them and kind of move it further, do their own research afterwards, and hopefully make just a crazy amount of gain. So just wanted to say these videos are useful for everybody to watch. There are multiple tutorials on my channel right now. Just go ahead and check them out. I don't think you'll be dissatisfied. I think it does a good service for the community. Anyway, but besides that, there's also a couple links down below. If you haven't actually chosen, I'd say, a crypto exchange just quite yet, make sure you check out Bybit. It's my favorite crypto exchange right now. Even though I'm wearing a Binance jacket, there's always a link for that down below too, you know, I mean, come on. But generally speaking, I use Bybit for all my trades. So I'll leave a link for that down below. You can check it out if you want to. So what's happening? What's coming up? We've already covered it a couple days ago. I'm not sure if I did it on Twitter or on YouTube, but Today is the start of the, oh no, it's actually yesterday, is the start of a very big week. And you can kind of see on tradingeconomics.com a couple of these different factors that are marked in red. I always recommend you guys to take a good look at this every single week. You can already start to see, okay, we have the unemployment rate, the inflation rate, okay, but where comes the most important part? I'd say tomorrow at 8 p.m., the Fed interest rate decision. The previous was 4.5, and the consensus and forecast is now going towards 4.75, so only a 0.25 increase. Afterwards, the day after, we have the Bank of England interest rate decision, though. We have the ECB interest rate decision, and so generally speaking, this week is going to be extremely important. People also like to look out for the unemployment rate over in the US, as that correlates basically with everything else that's happening. To put it into perspective here, we have a little list. My friend Satoshi Stacker wrote it down easily for everybody. He said Wednesday, the FOMC interest rate decision, with the forecast being a 0.25% hike. Then Powell press conference and Meta earnings also coming out. On Thursday, we have the Bank of England and European Central Bank rate decision, like we already said. It's expected to have a 50 base point hike. And then we have Apple, Alphabet, and Microsoft earnings as well. And then on Friday, we have the unemployment rate numbers coming out. Even though none of these are necessarily bearish, we are seeing crazy volatility usually whenever these numbers come about. And so that's also right now what we are expecting and basically preparing for. A little side note, if you're wondering why we're preparing so much for all these numbers and why we always care so much about them, right now we're on the brink of, from major financial standpoint, a crazy recession. I mean, we keep taking a look at the S&P and correlating it back to Bitcoin, because every single time the S&P moves down, Bitcoin follows that similar faith. Right now, however, we're wondering, are we going to go into a massive recession? Many parties seem to think so. And the question then will be, is that similar sort of faith for the traditional markets going to transfer over to cryptocurrencies? Because in theory, it was made to combat that entire collapse, so to speak. Bitcoin was made obviously as a counter to it. On the contrary, though, people invest in cryptos pretty akin to how they invest in stocks and indices. So is that really going to be an inverse correlation? Yes or no? Meaning there that if the major indices go down, that Bitcoin can actually find its way and people will invest in that and the price will go up. We'll see. Anyway, the Dallas Fed officially says a recession is on the way. And obviously, comments like that make it so scary for these numbers to come out, because the moment you see them start to be negative or red, it starts to make you think, okay, yeah, all these major parties are thinking it. And like this individual here says, I heard this so many times already. We have, because it's like a progress. If we look back about a year and a half ago or so, there were guys like Bill Gates who said, well, things are not really looking too good. Things are probably going to start falling down from here. And we can look at it now and say, oh, well, he was wrong because we still haven't crashed like crazy. We certainly have come down a significant amount with the S&P, Bitcoin, and anything. It's fallen down a lot. The only question is, are we going to see a full-on collapse or a relatively soft landing? In theory, you could say that we are already doing bad economy-wise, albeit not a full-fledged recession, but that all has to do with the GDP growth. In this moment, inflation is pretty ridiculous and things are bad for the people. The people are not having a good time in the general economy, and I'd say that that's doing bad. Production growing and basically your product still having a positive ratio as of this point is not a full-on measure for how your economy is doing. It's a very simple, in a literal sense, oversimplified way to measure something. And from that perspective, a recession where this product is going to also shift over, it's absolutely not that crazy, albeit that we don't know exactly when or how heavily it's going to flip. And so these numbers that are coming out this week, they give us some sort of indication on that, which potentially can be translated over into crypto yet again as well. Then again, the question is going to be, is crypto going to then, because of a major recession, if it comes along, just fall back down into the depths, or just going to climb back up, because that's how the cycles usually work. We've covered before as well how Bitcoin works in terms of the halving cycles, that in theory, pretty soon, we have a couple more months of leeway, but in a couple months, we're going to have to start pumping back up, because that's basically how Bitcoin worked over the last decade, since its inception, basically. Because a year before, or I'd say 100 days before, I don't remember exactly, but I believe a year before, again, either a year or 100 days before the next halving, Bitcoin just starts to pump. And then the next 100 days, I believe afterwards, it also pumps like crazy. It's happened every single time. And so, yeah, just longer term, I just can't stay bearish on this, regardless of what happens in the major indices. And you might be thinking, Dusty, why are you only saying Bitcoin? this extrapolates to almost every cryptocurrency that I hold, albeit that Bitcoin will set the stage for the rest. It will probably not be so that Polygon, for example, does amazing on its own, where Bitcoin is just falling every day, just completely decoupling. There's theories as to why they could, but it is not something that I feel is happening as of this moment. So it's also something that I don't think you guys should think is going to happen. But again, I'm always keeping myself open to some of these surprises, and I can definitely accept such a result, even though I can't see any foreseeable future where that is the case. It's been an interesting day for crypto, and so certainly I'll get you guys some more actual crypto news videos later today out there. If you guys enjoyed this little update, though, as to what's happening this week and what we're fearful of, make sure you press that like button. I can also talk a little bit more about the prices. People have talked a lot about. Ooh, I was like showing you guys stuff, but you couldn't even see because, of course, I was showing my own face. Anyway, a lot of people are talking about the MACD crossing. I don't even have it open right now. It was crossing bearish. Taking a look at it from a weekly perspective, though, things are still looking quite amazing over on the MACD. It's particularly on the daily, though, that it's flipped bearish for, but I'm not too concerned about it. And last but not least, in terms of dominance, Bitcoin is indeed still picking it up, which is still good, following along with the plans. I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon. And yeah, that was it for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.